Let's analyze the position from the game that's actually mine, played in April 2022. Black to move, and at first glance, position looks balanced, at least from a material perspective. Both sides has 3 pawns and dark squared bishop. However, black has 2 significant advantages in this position. First of all, there are no valid targets for white, since pawn structure is better and all pawns are on light squares, making white bishop less effective. Another important fact is that black has passer. C-pawn is protected, and black bishop controls 2 out of 3 squares in front of it. White has to keep king nearby at all times to prevent it from queening. What are the possible candidates? There are 2 possible pawn moves, h4 and c3, 3 reasonable bishop moves, and 3 king moves. Let's first tackle the pawn moves. If we move any pawn, it has to be with a very good reason, since they become target on dark squares. So only if we have some concrete threat, it makes sense. Considering that white can easily block further movement, we rule out these moves. Next piece to consider is bishop. What could be a better place for it? If you think about this position, what do you think that would be the outcome if the bishops are off the board? So, most probably black could have a direct win because of the c-pawn. King could approach f-pawn, and white would have to stay on f2 and e2, but it would allow c-pawn to reach the first rank. Therefore, valid idea is to transfer bishop to f4 and to try to exchange it. But white bishop can move somewhere, and it actually makes this plan ineffective. Single weakness in a position is usually not enough to win the game. So the next thing to do is, let's try to use the king to create second weakness in white's position. In that sense, king to g5 is a very strong candidate. Are there any particular threats that white can impose? White can push the f5 pawn with jack, but worst case scenario, we just move back to f5 and position is the same, but now with white's bishop further limited because it can't move back anymore. And there will be more pawns on dark squares, more white pawns on dark squares, and that's of course in favor of black. But can also prevent black king from reaching h4 with some bishop move like bishop to d3, but then the d4 pawn would fall and white would be lost. So, having that all in mind, I think that I can leave the candidates mode and basically play the move bishop to g5. And yes, in fact, that is the best move that's also played by my opponent, and engine says it's won position for black. Let's see what are the other possibilities. As you can see, most of these moves are actually winning, but it's all only because of the fact that white cannot really do anything to improve its position. So white can only wait. So the only 2 moves that you can see are not winning, actually leading to drawish position, is if we move our pawn. Because if we move our pawn, then as previously mentioned, we would actually lose the advantage that we have. Let's see the analysis, how it could continue. So how it could continue after the black plays on g5. The only way to stop it from reaching h4 is to move the king, but if white moves the king, then straight away black is reaching the first rank and there is no way that white can stop it. That would be it for this position, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I would say that there are two important things to catch from this position. Important concepts are, first of all, creating multiple weaknesses, and so we created a weakness in position that white has to stop the black pawn, the c pawn, but at the same time we created the weakness in white's position, the h pawn became weak. And the other thing is consider how you want your pawns and your opponent pawns if you have the same colored bishop in the endgame. I hope you learned something, and I hope I learned something too.